How's it going? Welcome back to another show. This is You Made Roscoe, and I am Roscoe. And today we're going to be taking a look at a video called He Dropped 50 Points on Michael Jordan, but Told the NBA No, and Why. And this is what we'll be checking out. Before we do that, I do want to ask for anybody who hasn't that they please subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell. That way, you'll be reminded of future shows. And yeah, this is interesting because I'm not familiar with this at all. I'm not sure who this guy is that dropped 50 on Mike, whenever that happened, And I'm sure Mike's been scored on by some guys in the NBA and stuff like that. But this guy told the NBA no after he was like a scoring machine of some sort. But let's check this video out, see what this is about.
That there was a player in basketball history who was so good that Boston Celtics legend Red Auerbach, a man who won a combined 16 NBA championships, said that the biggest mistake in his career was letting this player go. What if I said this man was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame as he was known as one of the greatest scorers of his generation due to the fact that he averaged nearly 28 points per game in college at Seton Hall, as well as scoring over 44 points per game overseas. And what if I said, legend has it, that on one historic night, this same man dropped 50 points on Michael Jordan's head? Well, listening to all of this, you'd probably assume that this player was some sort of NBA legend, but no. No, the topic of today's video, Nikos Galis, never stepped foot on an NBA basketball court despite getting drafted by the Celtics and then receiving offers from both the Nets and the Celtics later on in his basketball career. Which means we have to ask the question here: why did this basketball legend never play in the NBA? And guys, I am very excited to say that this video is brought to you by Squarespace. We'll get more into that later, but for now. So what's up guys, Mike here, and today we are looking at the career of Nikos Galis, a man who was...
That's his name, Nikos Galis. I've never heard of this guy. I've never heard of him, but let's keep this going. I'm intrigued.
The definition of a bucket at every single level of basketball he ever played at. Trust me when I say you are going to be in shock at just how much Nikos achieved as a basketball player, and you are definitely going to ask yourself the same question I've asked: what if Nikos Galis played in the NBA? Because it is clear he would have been a game changer. He was just that good. And again guys, the goal in 2021 is 2 million subscribers. So if you are new to this channel, hitting that subscribe button just takes one click of a button from you, and it means the world to me. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for all the new subscriptions. You guys are awesome. Please subscribe. And now I want to begin this story at the conclusion of the 1979 draft, where Nikos Galis was just taken by the Boston Celtics with the 68th pick. And yes, the NBA did have more rounds in their draft at the time, but even though he would have been undrafted in today's NBA, the Celtics were very hopeful in Nikos's potential. The reason for this was that at Seton Hall, Nikos had transformed into one of the best players in the nation and was seen as an unstoppable scorer during his senior year. As in that senior season, Nikos scored 27.5 points per game, an incredible amount, as remember, at the time there was no three-point shot. What's even more amazing was that Nikos shot nearly 58% from the field as a guard, and that in 1979 he would finish as the nation's third leading scorer behind Lawrence Butler and Larry Bird. This 1979 season led to Seton Hall head coach Bill Raftery calling Nikos the best player he has ever coached, which is why it should be no surprise that when the Celtics training camp began, many people were very hopeful that Nikos had a long NBA career ahead of him. Only
let me stop this for a second. I saw that list of 3 guys, including this guy, Larry Bird, and was that Lawrence? What was his name? Push that back. What was his name? All right. Yeah, let's go right there. Okay. Lawrence Butler. Where was he at? Like he if he was scoring all them points in college, like I've never heard of that guy in like NBA history. So he must have, but there's been a lot of those type of dudes. The most recent guy that I could think of who was like a big time scorer in college, but just didn't pan out in the NBA was Adam Morrison. And Morrison, he was like he looked like he was the second coming of like Pistol Pete or something in college, and not from the passing standpoint, but from the scoring standpoint at least, he was looking a lot like that. But yeah, where the hell is this Lawrence Butler dude at? But let's push it back up and let's keep it going.
Only there was one problem, and it was his ankle. Yes, during training camp of that season, Nikos suffered a severe ankle injury, and because of this, Nikos was cut from the team as the Celtics were worried that this ankle injury might affect his entire career, and they also had another rookie guard in Gerald Henderson who could replace Nikos. This would turn out to be a massive mistake, and as I previously mentioned, Celtics legend Red Auerbach certainly had regrets about this decision. In fact, Red would go as far as to say, quote, "The only big mistake of my career was not signing Galis back then," which are some pretty insane words when you think about it. Red Auerbach was involved with the Boston Celtics either as the team's coach, general manager, or president for over 50 years. To call Nikos his only big mistake must have meant that this really haunted him, and really, just based on the legend that Nikos dropped 50 points on Michael Jordan's head, is proof enough to me that this statement is true. Now, we are going to dig deeper into that Michael Jordan game in a bit. For now though, let's listen to Nikos' thoughts on getting cut. As he said, "It was my decision too. We sat down and talked. I had generous offers from Greece, coming from a poor family, to go overseas. It was a decision I never regretted because I fell in love with the place and people as soon as I got there. I've been there 38 years now. I never left, no regrets." And while Nikos might have no regrets, it's not hard to see why the Celtics and Red Auerbach did. Because during his professional basketball career, Nikos established himself as the best Greek player to ever play the game of basketball. In fact, before we even get into his achievements, just know that Nikos was the first European player ever to get a $1 million basketball contract. That in itself is insane, but when we look at Nikos' career in Greece, we find that things only get crazy. Because at the time of his retirement,
that was a nice pass, but yeah, he was setting the bar overseas, I see, but yeah, Red Auerbach, he shouldn't have felt bad about this dude, or as bad as he felt. I get it, you let one get away, but y'all was still winning big time, especially if you're talking about during those late '70s and going into the early '80s, like you ended up with Bird. So I mean, that's a great consolation prize if you ask me, But let's keep it going. And that Gerald Henderson, the fact that they went with Gerald Henderson as opposed to waiting on dude after he got injured. Yeah, that's crazy. I remember Henderson a little bit, and I think he had a son that ended up playing too. But let's keep this going.
Retirement, Nikos had established himself as the best Greek player to ever play the game of basketball. According to Euroleague.net, in over 12 seasons of Greek basketball, Nikos lost just 6 times and was the league's top scorer 11 times. And guys, like I mentioned to you before, this video is brought to you by Squarespace. When it comes to websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for you to have a beautiful web presence and to run your business. Using Squarespace, you are able to create a community on your Squarespace website that supports threaded comments, replies, and likes. You are also able to use their powerful blogging tools to categorize, share, and schedule your posts too. Using Squarespace, you can connect with your audience through gated members-only content that is also going to help you generate revenue. You can also manage your members, send email communications, and leverage your insights all on one easy-to-use platform. And so guys, go check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/MikeCorzemba for 10% off your first website or domain. That's squarespace.com/MikeCorzemba. The link will be in the description. And now guys, let's continue on with the video. And when I say top scorer, I mean that Nikos averaged nearly 40 points per game throughout his prime as a basketball player, and in 1981, he put up a staggering 44 points per game for the season. On top of this, Nikos also led the EuroLeague in scoring 8 times, and in those games against much tougher competition, Nikos still averaged close to 35 points per game for his EuroLeague career with a high.
Those scoring averages look crazy. I know that's the Euro League, but god dang it, those some crazy stats, dude. 37.6, 33, 30, 36, 36, 37.7, 37.8. Oh my goodness, this dude. You know, it would have been nice to see this dude
of 37.7 points per game in 1988. Again, the man was a walking bucket, and here's why. Now, to me, one of the most interesting things to look for when we watch Nikos' game is that on the offensive end, despite standing at just 6 feet tall and despite not having any sort of a great vertical leap, Nikos was able to become a lethal scorer through one of the most unique ways I have ever seen. We of course know about legendary moves like Kareem's skyhook and Dirk's fadeaway, and when it comes to Nikos, we can see that he definitely had a signature move of his own. Because when watching these clips, we can see that using his incredible core strength, Nikos was constantly able to knock down jumpers that were completely guarded. The way he was able to do this was simple in theory, but almost impossible in practice to pull off. Because while most basketball players basically have to shoot at the highest point of their jump shot, Nikos mastered the art of delaying his release until the defender that was contesting him was on the way down. This gave Nikos a near unstoppable jump shot, as even if you played near perfect defense, you would just watch as Nikos waited for you to fall to the ground as he then proceeded to drain a jumper in your face. That's what defenders had to deal with on a nightly basis. That is what made Nikos such a legend. And as previously mentioned, Nikos was not only a
We all stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. A black
scorer, but he was a winner too. Throughout his career,
it's crazy because I'm not seeing a lot of examples of what he's talking about as far as he's hitting it or taking his shots as guys are coming down. Guys are still right there up in the air with him, but I mean, either way, I guess it didn't matter because he's still scoring. Whether the dudes are coming down or they still up in the air, it looked like he's still scoring over these guys. And yeah, I just think, and he reminds me a little bit of Sarunas Marciulionis, who I forget where he's from. I know he was from overseas somewhere, but that guy, he was a little taller, than this guy was, but he was another guy that would go in there against all these guys that are right there contesting his shot, and just his strength and the way it was like he was playing bully ball, and this guy's little, but it seemed like it's kind of the same thing. Like he's just bulldozing his way through. I don't care who's right there. I'm just gonna score over you. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of Marciulionis a little bit, but let's keep this going.
Nikos won several Greek League championships and Greek League Cups, but the most impressive win of his career would come in the 1987 FIBA European Championship game. As throughout this tournament, Nikos was simply unstoppable and did the near impossible, carrying Greece to a championship win while averaging 37 points per game in the tournament. And to top things off here, Nikos would put up 40 points in the championship game as Greece won by just 2. This gave Greece just one of their 2 European championships in their country's entire history, and it's facts like that that make it easy to see why Nikos was seen as such a legend. But with all this in mind, before we do get into the Jordan game, you might be wondering, why did Nikos never come back to the NBA after playing some time overseas? And the answer to that does not come in the form of interest, because like I said before, Nikos was offered contracts by both the Celtics and the Nets later on in his career. The problem was, accepting those contracts would come with a huge price. FIBA rules at the time stated that NBA players were not allowed to play at the national team level, which meant if Nikos did accept an NBA contract, he could not play for Greece. And to me, it says a ton about Nikos and his national pride that he turned down the chance to play in the NBA because he loved representing his country that much. With that said, let's now talk about what you've been waiting for, Nikos' matchup with Michael Jordan himself. Now, to be clear,
no, that's what we waiting for. That's what we waiting for. All this video. And we just not getting to it at the ass end of it. But let's see what happens.
This matchup did occur when Jordan was in college and Nikos was playing with the Greece national team, but we have to remember 2 things. 1, The talent gap between the rest of the world and the United States was so big at this point that the Tar Heels would actually beat the Greece national team, and 2, Michael Jordan was already 20 years old and had already begun to show some serious flashes of the generational talent he would become. With that in mind, it's no surprise that in this game, Jordan would score 34 points in his team's win. What is potentially shocking is that the legend goes, for his part, Nikos scored 50 points on Michael Jordan. 50 points. Now, to be completely transparent with you guys, this game is actually a source of incredible debate, because while a lot of people do claim that Nikos did score 50 points here, others state that the number was closer to 24, which is an absurd difference. And unfortunately, because this was an exhibition game played in 1983, almost 30 years ago, there is no stat sheet, so we really can't tell for sure. Regardless of anything though, what I do know is that after this game, Michael Jordan gave Nikos the ultimate seal of approval, because when asked about Nikos, a more than impressed Mike would say, quote, "He is a complete player. I didn't expect to see such a scorer from Europe, especially from your country." Yes, Michael.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm just thinking about that big disparity that they had between, what they thought he scored, whether it was 50 or nearly half of that. How do you get to that wide of a gap? and then to make a video about this, it's like, well, do we really know that he scored 50 on Mike? And then when they say 50 on Mike, was Mike's like sticking him the whole game or something? I don't know. This is kind of iffy to me, but let's keep it going.
Michael Jordan was in complete shock that Nikos was not playing in the NBA and instead was playing in Greece, something that I can say a lot of people were in shock of at the time, because by the end of his basketball career, it was clear Nikos Galis was one of the best players to never play in the NBA, and that was certainly confirmed when he was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is awesome for Nikos. Again, he says he has no regrets, but I really wish we could have seen this guy play NBA basketball. I would have loved to see how his game translated to the NBA level. With that said though, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you are new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, the goal is 2 million subscribers in 2021. All it takes is a single click from you to subscribe, and it will be much appreciated by me. And I do want to say you guys have been so supportive lately. Thank you for that. It really does mean a lot. Also, as you guys know, if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.
All right, let's I'm gonna stop it right there. I'll just push it back so we're not on this end screen. But that was he dropped 50 points on Michael Jordan, but told the NBA no. Why? But that was an interesting video, and it would have been nice to see this guy in the league, but I get that whole national pride thing, especially like for those guys overseas, and that's not to say that the American players don't have that same thing, because I'm more than certain that they do. But to know that you wouldn't have been able to play for your team no more had you come over to the league, for those guys, that's a no-no. They like, nah, I'm playing for my country, but it also had me thinking about like some of the better overseas players that I've had a chance to witness, and some of those players didn't really get the chance. Well, some of them did, and some of them didn't. But we saw like some really good like players from overseas. I think Dino Raja, who was with the Celtics. They got lucky enough to get him, but when they got Raja, they was kind of in those lean years, if I remember right. So by the time he comes around, all of the great Celtics, like Bird and them, they were either old or gone, one of those two. But I remember him, of course, like I said, Marshallonis. I remember him with Golden State, and he was a bulldog. Like I really liked him, but he seemed to like I don't remember him having like a long NBA career for whatever reason. Maybe just my memory, and I'm just not remembering, but Drazen Petrovic, was the big what if, and as far as the NBA goes, like Petrovic was like a beast, when it came to scoring. And he was one of those guys, like I remember he matched up against Jordan quite a few times. Uh, like when he was in those, I believe he got drafted by Portland, but I remember him playing for New Jersey for the Nets, and yeah, no, Petrovic was a problem every time we would play. And when I say we, I mean the Bulls. You know, but I remember because if I'm not mistaken, I think they was in the same division. No, 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 they wasn't. They wasn't. Now when I think about it, I don't think the Nets was. But even if they was, like I remember like those matchups with that team, and in those years when he was on it. And yeah, Petrovic was a mug and a shit talker too. Like he'll be draining some shots on Jordan, and then he'll be talking. Like I'm like, what is that dude talking? Like Mike, go get him. And Mike was, doing his thing, but couldn't stop Petrovic, on the other end. But yeah, I mean, it was some good players. If you fast forward to, probably a decade later, plus or whatever it is, but Luis Scola, he was another good one. I yeah no a lot of those players, of course. My man, Kukoc, who Kukoc was a bad boy. Like um, when he finally did come to the Bulls, because I know when he first got drafted, he didn't end up coming until like somewhere like 2 years later or something like that. But yeah, when he finally came, at least that first year and some change, like he didn't get to play with Mike, but he was already like making his name. He was the waiter, and he had this complete game, and it was fun to watch him, because it's like, man, this dude's 6'11", and he could bring it up. He could shoot threes. He was clutch. You know what I mean? I remember that one game when Scottie Pippen decided that he didn't want to go back into the game when Phil drew up the play for Kukoc instead, and Kukoc ended up hitting the shot to win the game. So just some great memories of some great overseas dudes. But I'm gonna get going. Before I do, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the share button, hit the playlist option. You'll pick the one named Basketball Highlights. That's the playlist that I'll end up putting this in. So be sure to check for everything that I have reacted to in that playlist. There's going, of course, a lot of great stuff in there. So you want to make sure that you do that. I do have playlists for other things, mostly music related, but as you can see, we do some other stuff. So whenever you get a chance to check out all of those playlists, please do that. Um, the Cash App, $ you made Roscoe, PayPal at you made Roscoe for those who like to show their support or appreciation for the work being done on the page. Any donations, you're going to make them at one of those two spots at the bottom of the screen, and that's it. So I will go. I will see you guys again very soon, or you'll see me the next time that you click onto a video with me in it. So until then, be safe and be good.